Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock practicing necromancer. And this morning, I thought I'd take a moment and kind of discuss with you the different types of sight that go along with things like mediumship, spiritual communion, stuff like that. But also something that's also affiliated with the physical sight, meaning your eyeballs. Now, we all know about herbalism, herbology and stuff like that. Now, there's a few books that speak on a lot of different things, but the book of Tobit in the Bible are just a couple of them. The book of spiritual communication by Buckland is another one. One of the big things is meditation, but banishing rituals, cleansings, you know. This is why a lot of practitioners will tell you, hey, utilize things like sea salt, paprika, ground cinnamon, bathe in it. The hotter the water, the better. Submerge yourself in it because what it does is it cleanses you. I recommend doing it at least once or twice a month, depending on how much negativity you have in your life. If you're dealing with an ex, yeah, definitely. At least 3 or 4 times a month. But, anyways, just kidding. Jokes aside. So, anyways, let's kind of break this down a little bit. First of all, let's talk about spiritual cleansing. One of the biggest things that I see and hear online is, and not just that, but also in the world, is by spiritualists who claim to be spiritual, but yet they lack the understanding that their third eye gets clouded. Okay, it gets tainted. And the reason it gets tainted is because you're not keeping it pure, especially to the source. It doesn't matter if you're Christian, it doesn't matter if you're a Satanist, it doesn't matter if you're into the African Caribbean traditions. If you don't take care of your spiritual form, you're not going to be able to reach the spiritual realm, to work with your ancestors, to work with your patrons and patronesses. You're just not going to be able to do it. So I thought I would put out there a couple of different things. Now, on spiritual aspects, the spiritual sight, meaning your third eye, which is right here, okay? The book of Tobit and the Bible speak to this. I believe it's in the book of Revelations, if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I've actually read the Bible. It's been now almost a decade. Wow, it's been that long. Holy crap. Almost a decade. Whew. I think the last time I did that was, 2026 now? So yeah, roughly about 2016, 2017. Yeah, that sounds about right. So anyways, I want to say it's in the book of Revelations, and it talks about fish gall. Okay. Now, fish gall is a gallbladder of a fish, and there's a couple of different types of fish that you can utilize in this form. And what it is that you smear it over your third eye. Now, what this does is, I apologize, the X is trying to call in here. So, anyways, what it does is it cleanses your spiritual sight, and that really kind of blows, because if you don't cleanse it, you're not going to be able to see the spirits. You're not going to be able to commune with them. So you smear it over your third eye. You do not ingest it, okay? And I will tell you that right now. Fish gall is very, very poisonous, and it will make you sick. It will lead you to death. Okay? So, the book of Tobit speaks to fish gall being put on the door to ward off a demon known as Asmodeus. So it's also a thing of protection. So we all know that protection deals with cleansings. I cleanse my apartment and my my car, all my stuff, even my son's mother's apartment every so often. So it's a good thing to keep that going. Now, the other aspect is your physical eyes. And this is where both the Book of Tobit and the Bible come in because of the fact that it deals with the physical sight. Now, like I said, fish gall you don't want to ingest, but this is what it does. And in Asia, in the Middle East, in India, what they do is they smear it across your eyes. And what it does is when you go to remove it, it takes the white film. We know it here in the United States as cataracts. Okay? This helps your eyes remain healthy and pure. So right there, you have two different aspects. You have the physical, and then you have the spiritual. Now, obviously, you want to cleanse. You want to utilize banishing rituals and stuff like that to keep the negative forces out. You want to put up wardings, protections, and stuff like that. But the big thing is that you want to keep your sight clean. And one of the biggest things that I've been seeing out there on like Facebook, TikTok, YouTube even, you go out and you listen to some of the conversations at restaurants and you're going to hear this stuff. It's like, hey, I feel like I'm not connected to the source. Like I can't connect to the ancestors. I feel them there, but I can't see them. Well, that's why. Your physical sight and your spiritual sight is blocked and you need to cleanse them. Fish gall is just one of them. You could utilize a number of different things. Mullion, vervain, for an example. Let's go with yarrow. There's certain things that you can mix. Personally, I recommend milk with honey. You can use, like I said, ground cinnamon, sea salt, paprika. Paprika is awesome. It's a great terminator of negative energies and sorcery if anything's been put against you. The great healer would be the ground cinnamon. Obviously, the rejuvenation of vitamin D, from the milk. Honey is great as well, especially in a bath. The sea salt is a purifier, so keep that in mind. One of the things that I would recommend for you to do is if you really want to do cleansings, and really get into the herbs and everything, figure out what kind of herbs, plants, and stuff like that you're going to need to do, and what they represent, what they can do for you from a spiritual perspective. Some will allow you to commune with the dead. Others will require you to leave an offering. If you're looking to contact a dead lover, for an example, then obviously you'd want roses, lavender, things like something that's going to allow you to commune with them through like a spirit box or a spirit jar. Just allow them and them alone to come into your home. But seals of protection and reversals are very, very important as well. They help block out the negative energies. They help block out spiritual attacks. And they help keep your home good. Now, tattoo resonating is also good because that way it will help you stick to your religion, your physical aspects, but of practices, your religion or your philosophy. The other aspect here that deals with tattoos is that you can utilize them anywhere because they're on your arms, they're on your flesh. So all you need to do is to open it up and do the rituals. But sight is perhaps one of the main things. This is why so many talk about remote viewing, projection, and astral projection. So you can see where all of this comes into play, from spiritual to physical. You need to have that balance and that harmony to be able to do this. And like I've told you guys in the past, projection, remote viewing, and astral projection are the three most basic and most common practices that is going to open up the world to you once you get into more in-depth practices. But the main thing is your sight. I recommend, like one of those things that you put over your eyes, when you sleep. You can get those at like Bed Bath and Beyond, or, Walmart perhaps. You know, I can't, I don't remember the name of it. I happen to have one for rituals. But it'll help you open up your senses, okay? It'll help you utilize your ears. I recommend eliminating certain senses so that you don't rely on them a lot. Learn how to shift your perspectives, your senses, from your sight to your hearing to your smell. How about your touch? Okay. I've been in the ritual room where I can physically see a manifestation. I've seen, I can feel the temperature. I've heard the voices. I've heard it all. I've seen it. Okay. And that's because you're balanced. Your equilibrium is balanced. You have the wardings up, the seals up. You have your senses opened, and you're welcoming the spirits in. And if you're dealing with a patron or patroness, it always helps to have their sigil to resonate with. Have a candle going right by it so you can focus your attention on it. Do a mantra, call them forth. And most things that you're going to need to do is, like I said, just keep your senses clean. That's the big thing. Keep both sets of eyes open. Keep them clean, because it's going to help you in the long run. All right? Bill Nye, the science guy. He was actually a pretty good scientist back in the day. I actually learned a lot when I was a kid from him. It's probably why I got into alchemy. No, I do not live in Louisiana. I wish I did. Got a lot of friends down that way, especially around New Orleans. Vecna from Stranger Things. Okay. I don't know what Stranger Things is. Is that like a TV show, a book or something? Jeffrey, what's up, brother? Welcome. So, that's always good. So, yeah, this morning I got up at 4:30 to go to my son's mother's house to watch the dogs. We got a pup that has a ear infection. We got a vet appointment on Monday for him. So it's kind of ironic, but he's doing all right. We got him on that that ointment, if you will, that we put in his ear for right now. Everybody we've talked to said it looks more like a yeast type infection, like it got wet in there. So we've been putting that ointment in his ear and rubbing it in and just kind of getting it under control for 7 to 10 days. We started it, what was it, yesterday, I think. Not yesterday, the night before yesterday. And so we've been paying a lot of attention to him. So I went over to watch the dogs today while she and her boyfriend were working, but unfortunately, that little SOB took the day off. So he's on his way home. So it's like, fuck. Oh well. It's okay. I'll go home and read and do a video. It's been a little while since I've done videos, so. Dense fog. Wow. Okay. Yeah, it's always fun driving in fog. Especially if you're out in the boondocks, you know, Jeffrey. If you're out in the middle of nowhere, it's like, fuck, dude. You're going about 5 miles an hour the whole way. That's if you're driving. Hope you don't hit a deer. Been there, done that, and then you got your female pup sitting there going, what was that? It's like, lay back down. Just a deer. That's my personal sigil. Noah. Ah. Detroit. It's been a long time since I've been to Detroit. I think the last time I was in Detroit was back in, what was it, 2011, I think? Yeah, I want to say about 2011. Yeah, about 2011, 2012 area. Very, very cool place. A lot of dead city, though. Just empty places. Depending on where you're at. Pretty cool. Cheyenne. Ray Egga. Nega. What's up? Welcome to the channel. Yeah, I've been officially retired now for a little over a year, about almost a year, just about 1 year and 1 month now, physically retired. Freaking love it. I was thinking about going back, but yeah, it's like whatever. Yeah, I hear a lot of cities and states are doing that right now. I believe the latest one is the governor of Minnesota, which is basically telling ICE and the federal government to go fuck themselves. Hell, Maine is one of them. Yeah, because Governor Mills basically said, we're going to stick to the Constitution, and she told Trump where to go. So, which is why everything's skyrocketed up here in Maine. Yeah, I hear that, man. I hear that. That's why I got into investing. I started getting into investing, learning how to invest my money, and it took me about three years to get it to the point where it's like, I don't need to work no more. I mean, I'm just doing my own thing, playing with the stock markets, you know, the ups and downs, you know, trading, day trading and stuff like that. Works pretty good, as long as you don't fuck it up. Made that mistake once, last fall. Yeah. All my Bitcoin went bye-bye. My other stocks are good, though. So I don't touch that stuff. I just use the Bitcoin to play around with. So I started over with the Bitcoin. But yeah, That's why I'm retired. I got done with the BS and the corporate BS and all that stuff, Jeffrey. It's like all these fucking excuses, all these goddamn games, and it's like, I am so fucking done. Why work for money when you can have money work for you? All you need is a little bit of financial IQ. Add a Q&A. Welcome. I used to do bakery. I did. I actually enjoyed it. I love to cook. I love to. Maybe that's the warlock in me. I don't know. Yeah, love to cook. But yeah, if you decide to go that way, Jeffrey, I would recommend Robinhood to you. It's very easy to set up, and you get a free stock and everything of your choosing, and then you just go from there. Just make sure to, go to a well-rounded thing, like, say for an example, gold, silver, rare metals, if you will. Go into like Bitcoin, go into hospitality, technology, stuff like that, and then you get the dividends. I would recommend at least 3% of your overall paycheck to go into your stocks for like 3 years. Think long term for most of them. And like I said, if you want to do the ups and downs and you want to get into becoming a gold member on Robinhood, feel free. They send you all kinds of updates on there, and you have a choice to what you want to put in. So, very, very cool. I mean, even with an IRA and retirement fund and all that stuff, you can put in there. Just pay attention to the 16th Amendment, which is the tax amendment. Leo, brother, welcome. The brother from another mother. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But yeah, I mean, I spent a long time in customer service, a long time in the food industry, and before that, a lot of odd jobs. So it's like 46 years old. It's like, no, I'm done. I've had enough of this world. So I got into doing investing, and I started doing what I love doing. So I get to spend time with my son. I get to spend more time with my dogs, my cats, and just do a lot of bushcrafting. I'll go out, or what is now classified as bushcrafting. It used to be survival. Go out to the woods, go on the trails. And if you remember, got a nice little scar there now. You can actually see my hand from where I got bit by that coyote, that canine. So, oh yeah, he got me good back in November. So, full range of motion, no issues. Been strengthening my hand up quite a bit. Working out, love it. Bettering myself. Yeah, clairvoyance is pretty good. Clairaudience, yep. Two good paths there. What I would recommend is if you really want to get into seeing spirits, communing with them better, one of the things that I would recommend is in Bushido, it's known as, Miyamoto Musashi called it no mind. Okay, no mind. This is where you look at things as a third party. You don't think about things. You just let the thoughts flow, acknowledge them, move beyond them. Calm yourself to the point where you are going beyond that and just taking note of everything that you're seeing and hearing. Void meditation is another one. It's another practice which is similar to no mind. And as an occult practice, meditation is one of the key things. especially if you're getting into things like Bushido or Tai Chi, Qui-Gon, Taoism. Works very, very well. It helps keep you healthy. It helps keep your stress level under control, and it helps you to focus and channel what you're doing. So, but yeah, clairvoyancy, there's a lot of practices that go along with that. You can use blood sorcery, hemomancy, you know, on mirrors, as Cagliostro the Necromancer so colorfully put in the Blood Sorcery Bible for the Black Mirror scrying. She works with various different types of blood magnetics, or magnetism of the blood, freezing the blood, working with the blood plates and stuff like that. I'm not a phlebotomist, so don't take my word for that one. The Blood Sorcery Bible, Volume 1 and 2, I do recommend. By the way, she does awesome work that way, and I've actually got into blood sorcery because of that book. Love it. And I've had that book for quite a few years now. It's not that it was taken from you. It's more the fact that you've fallen out of resonance with the spiritual aspects. Jeffrey, like I said, one of the big things that I would recommend is go to your local fish market and just say, "Hey, I need a fish gall," and then do your research into the fish gall, smear it over your third eye, and cleanse yourself. Then it's a matter of utilizing mantras, getting back into that spiritual working. Get back into, communing with the spirits. That's the best thing for you. Just get right back into it. What was once taken can always be brought back. So, a lot of people think, hey, and this is another thing that I've noticed over the years, is that people will get something, they achieve it once, and then all of a sudden everything goes to shit, and it's like, what the fuck? Don't stop. Keep going. Figure out, cleanse yourself. Get right back on that horse and keep on going. But, those of us that's been in it for quite a long time already know this stuff, so. Yeah, speaking of which, I gotta get a whole new shaver, too, because mine shit the bed. I've been trying to figure out why the fucking thing would not work. I've cleaned the damn thing. I've torn the thing apart looking, hey, is there a battery in here I don't know about? But yeah, if you look at spiritualism, it's a lot like shaving your beard and trimming it, because that's all you're doing is you're refining it, you're redefining it, and the reason I bring that up is because I want you to take a look at this for just a minute. When you get into a posture, let's say one of the most unnatural type of meditations that you'll find, just out of an example, is out of Taoism. And it's a part of Tai Chi. And it's called the standing meditation. Trust me, it is the most unnatural meditation pose that you will ever have. You'll wake yourself up from it going, what the fuck, I almost fell on my ass. But it's very good. But you'll notice the more you do it, is that it's great for your spine. So when you're working with things like your meridians, the kundalini, or your chakras, and yes, these are 3 different types of practices, so do not mistake them as one and the same, is you're going to open up these discs, these meridians, and opening up your chakras for the energy flow from the root to the crown. And you want to focus on each one And when you do this, you can depict them as a specific color, as an example. Okay? Like, say, the root chakra could be, oh, let's go with the color purple. Okay? The crown chakra could be white, as in enlightenment. Red for the heart chakra. Let's go with blue for your third eye. Okay? Let's go with yellow for your vocal, your hormonal tone. Then, and so forth all the way down. But then when you go from the chakras into the kundalini, then you're going to get into the discs, the representation of each one and what they represent from a positive to a negative, to help you stay in balance, to help you keep that harmony going. And then once you get into the meridians, then you have another aspect being added to this type of practice. So you really, Jeffrey, when you get into meditation and you start getting into the awareness aspect, you want to have a purpose behind it. And that purpose is apotheosis, obviously. And when you're looking at the term mage or magi, that means a seeker of truth. It means seeker of enlightenment, knowledge. So when you do this, you have a point where you want to say, let's say if you're into voodooism, you're a voodoo zant, then you're going to be working with your ancestors, not just the Loa. Okay? So to do that, you're going to have to learn to channel that energy into a specific source that you're going to be connecting to. Let's say your ancestral lineage. So you're going to be going to the realm of the dead. So you're going to be working with, say, Papa Legba, giving him offerings, having him, open that doorway to Baron Samedi. Or Dambella, depending if you're in Creole or Haitian, Haiti. Personally, I like Haitian voodoo better than New Orleans voodoo because it's much more pure. It's stronger. It's literally closer to the original source, which is from Ghana, Nigeria, Ethiopia, and Benin, or Benin, however you want to pronounce it. So that area, and even if you get into the Caribbean traditions like, say, Santeria, Brujeria, Quimbanda, Palo Mayumbi and Palo Monte. A lot of people hear Monte and Mayumbi, but they don't realize that Monte is the spiritual aspect to the physical. Okay? So, they're two different types of practices, but they go hand in hand. These are the Caribbean traditions, which means you're going all the way back to the Congo. But even then, like I said, the rituals and the traditions of cleansing, banishing, opening up the gates, the portals, the vortexes, working with your kundalini, the meridians, all of this stuff plays into effect. So you're going to need to get into this stuff if you want to continue doing it. So you're going to want to look at the source that you're trying to tap into, get into that, connect to it, remain attached to it. If you look at the very image of a shaman, for an example, a shaman, like a necromancer, has one foot in the grave and one in the physical world. That's how you'd want to walk your life. It's a strict lifestyle. It's a regiment that you want to keep up on. Like a muscle that you're working in a gym, if you stop working that muscle, what happens? Atrophy kicks in, right? It shrinks. Next thing you know, you got an arm full of flab, Nothing. But if you're working that muscle constantly, let's say, for an example, you're doing calisthenics, you're doing Tai Chi, Qigong, you're getting that flexibility, that that movement, that mobility. You're working those muscles using your own body weight. Doing things at inclines, or depending if what if you're going for that big muscle or you're going for that little muscle, that tone muscle, then you're going to know where to put your body. Okay, especially on a bench or, say, for an example, if you're utilizing the floor. Either way, you're going to learn what technique works for you. So, 3 Erden, welcome. Monty Python. Wasn't that a TV show at one time? Or at least, or was it a book? Hell, I can't remember. It's been so long. But I do remember that. So, anyways, like I said, your mind, your third eye, your spiritual sight, your physical sight, they're just like a muscle. So keep up on that, all right? Because if you don't, you're not going to have it. And like I said, the fact that you had it back then in 2008, what would you say it was? 2018? Yeah. So you had it then. Just means it's either corroded, it's got that film on it, so you want to cleanse it, you want to clear it, get rid of whatever's on it, and then begin again. And this time, harmonize yourself with that current that you work with. And like I said, it could be with any type of spiritual entity, supernatural force, if you wish. Demons, angels, the Orisha, the Loa, the demons, the Jinn, the Devi, even if you're like me and practicing necromancer, then you're going to be working with the dead a lot. And I work with my own ancestors, getting to know them and seeing who can help me with what aspects. But I'm also constantly aware that I have to stay in harmony with my patrons, okay, and those that I work with from a supernatural perspective, okay, not just folkloric traditions and stuff like that. So you're going to need to remember that there's multiple different levels to this. One of the analogies, Jeffrey, that I like to use is the analogy of an onion. Okay? Say it's a red onion, for an example. That purple onion. Each level that you master, okay, peel that away. And you're going to have a whole nother layer to master, to work with, to get to know. So if you're working with psionics, let's say, let's go with blood sorcery. If you're doing mantras, let's go with the old native drums, the drum beat. I love going to powwows because just listening to the drums and that rhythm, you could just sit down in a nice quiet place and just put yourself into a meditative state. You can make your own drum, and while you're meditating, listen to that rhythm. You get yourself harmonized and connecting with that resonance of the spirits that you're working with. And you can get right into it. I mean, all you need is a cloth and a ring. I recommend one of those, dog toys, if you will. Put a cloth tight over it. Tie it up. Staple it to it. And you got a nice little drum right there. Shamans use drums. Native American, the Indians use drums and stuff. But a lot of it, you just need solitary, no distractions. Just keep it up daily. Do it the same day, the same time, every day. Get into a routine. Like, I'll get up at, say, an hour early just to sit there. No technology for an hour. My son does the same thing. No technology when you first get up for an hour or before you go to bed. Throughout the day, I bide my time. I use what is called the 24 stones, because there's 24 hours in a day. 12 white, 12 black. So you can remove 8 of the black ones because that's when you sleep. Okay? You remove 2 white ones that represent the hour that you have no technology. During this time, you could be meditating, you could be working out, you could be, spending time, reading, studying, do some kind of chore, like making your bed, cleaning the house, whatever, during that time. And then you take another one, you take another 8, let's go with 8 white ones, stones, and you remove them. That's the time you're at work. Now you look at the stones that are left. You're going to have at least 4 or 5 hours that is free. Wow. Now imagine what you can do during those 4 to 5 hours to help you with your spiritualism, through family, working with, having family night, maybe 2 hours, playing a board game with your family, you could even, go to the park with them, go out on the trails with them, teach them about herbalism, take a martial art course. Same exact thing, right? So from there, then it's a matter of, okay, I got this amount of time left. What can I do to fill this time? How can I benefit myself? Maybe take on a new course, learn something new, like, say, how to advertise. How about taking a financial course? This is stuff that you can do during that 3 to 4 hours that's left over. Wow. And it's just a matter of relaxing. But either way, you got your physical sight and you got your spiritual sight that you got to work on. Question is, how far are you willing to go? What are you willing to do? Okay? That goes for you too, Leo. Not just Jeffrey. But yeah, I would also recommend the Book of Spiritual Communion, or Spirit Communion, I believe it's called. It's by Raymond Buckland. Very, very good book. It has a lot of information just on various different, how should I say this, types of spiritual summonings for divination purposes that you can do. But that's just some stuff that I would recommend to you. So now you can go into the older works, like in the older herbology type stuff, like I said, the fish gall, for an example. One of the other things is, like I said, take a ritual bath. Santeria is renowned for spiritual baths. That's the one thing I like about the folk saints, and working with the Orisha, working with the Exu, working with the Loa, working with the demons, is because they teach you so much. Working with your ancestors is definitely the best. And when you get into this stuff, and the more you get into it and you keep up on it, you're going to go very, very far. So I'll leave that up to you and how far you're willing to go. But yeah, my grimoire's out there, so I can't tell you exactly what verse it was. I just remember it's in the book of Revelations, where it talks about the fish gall in the spiritual sight. I want to say it's chapter 6, verse 8, I think. Don't take my word for it. I could be wrong. But it's there. The book of Tobit speaks to 3 different aspects. The fish gall being placed over the eye, smeared over the eyes, peeled away to remove the cataracts and allow you to see better. Then you have the spiritual aspects, the protection aspects from it. It is all in that one book, the book of Tobit. But the spiritual side is the big thing. You see this in the book of John. You see this in the book of Revelation. You see it in the book of Daniel's, the book of Ezekiel, even of the Bible. And it's not just that. I mean, you get into things like Hebrewism, Islamic traditions. You get into Buddhism. You get into, the old, what do they call those guys? The from India, the Agori, I believe they're. I want to say it's the Agori practitioners of India. They go into the extreme practices of isolation, starvation, fasting, spiritual meditations, and stuff like that. Amazing how much work they put in. And then people wonder, why are these guys considered to be wise? Wise. Why are they considered to be so spiritually in tune? And it's like, look at what they put into their practice. It's amazing. Go into the Dukan of Indonesia, Malawi, Malaysia area. Amazing practices there. Look at the practices of Santet, for an example. That you want black magic. Yeah, that's right there. Indonesia has some of the most vile magics when it comes to black magic, curses and stuff like that. But you look at the spiritual connection and the energy work that they put into it. And that's basically what it is that you're utilizing energy transference, energy manipulation to work with your kundalini, your chakras, your meridians, your channeling of those spirits that you work with. And if you look at one of the things that I think fits here is when you look at chanting, doing mantras, doing chanting, Kali Ma, for an example, which is one of the ones that E.A. Quetting put out in one of his books during the, I believe it was the book of Black Magic, I think. I think it was Baneful Magic or something like that. Can't remember offhand. It's been so long since I've read his books. But when you get into it, you see how prayer, they call it intercessory prayer. And what it is that when you're praying, when you're doing these mantras, you're in that position, like, say, the Fubuza, if you're into Japanese culture like I am. I love Japanese culture, and I've been heavily influenced by Bushido and Shintoism practices. And what's interesting here is that when you're sitting there chanting, you're sitting there praying, you're doing the whispers, you're doing the calling of these spirits and these entities. You're using the energy, channeling from your root to your crown, and you're opening yourself up to that current, to that particular entity, not just connecting to it. But it's interesting. I had an apostolic friend that I once associated with, and I still do every so often, but here it is. The way he put it is, you take your practices to a certain point, and then you have that intermediary or that intercessionary type prayer that all of a sudden they'll go, well, you've got to this point, we're going to take it from here. This is where in demonolatry we know this as the willing possession, because that's basically what you're doing when you're praying to these beings and you're working with these beings. You're summoning them either through evocation or invocation practices, and you're using a catalyst, basically an algalist. In this case, it would be you. So you're seeing that spiritual aspects. You're opening yourself up through your third eye, bringing them into yourself, or you're calling them to commune with them. Either way, it goes right in there. There's a lot of different territory that you can do and cover and learn about that is going to benefit you in the long run. And it always comes down to cleansing and maintaining your vessel. Look at it as a vessel augmentation, if you will. Blood augmentation, psionics even, energy raising, if you will. Same exact thing. Get into transfiguration, transmortification practices. You'll see a huge amount. That's why you don't see me online very often anymore, is because I've been going further and further offline. So, and I still haven't seen Noah in Games 21. You still didn't answer my question about this statement that you made. So I don't even know if you're still online. but anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about and kind of bring to your attention is spiritual cleansing is a very, very good thing, especially if you want to maintain your sight. Some refer to it as the inner sight. Others refer to it as the physical sight, the spiritual sight. Either way, to be able to do this, you've got to keep it clean. You got to keep it pure, and you got to keep it strong. You got to maintain it. All right. That's why so many spiritualists have suddenly all of a sudden it's like, well, I've lost connection. Why are they not communing with me? Why can't I hear them? Why can't I see them? Why can't I speak to them? Why? Well, right there, I just told you why. You need to think of your spiritual sight as a muscle that you're working in a gym. Okay? Same exact thing. When you stop, it goes lazy. It goes limp. You've heard the term limp dick? Well, guess what? That's basically what your spiritual sight is if you stop utilizing it. If you don't constantly work it, if you don't constantly keep up on it and maintain it, you're not going to have it. So keep it up. Keep up the good work. And like I said, always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for the things that you do and say. And most importantly, whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources and references. I've done that here yet again. And it shows not only responsibility, that you know what you're talking about, that you're well researched, well read, and most importantly, you well practiced. Seasoned, I believe, is the term that they use today. Outside of that, it also shows those that follow you going, oh, well, this is what this individual recommends that you get into. Well, I'll get into it as a starting point. Maybe I can find something that goes along with this that he or she missed. You know what I'm saying? And that's always good to see when an apprentice surpasses the teacher in some ways, because it goes to not every teacher is the same. Some will take offense to it. I've seen where they will lash out and try to hurt you, whereas others are like, keep going, don't stop, keep doing what you're doing. Those are the types that I want to be around, is those that's going to keep building me up, egging me to keep going further, keep going further, keep going further, better yourself, continue reaching that apotheosis. Because I always ask, sometimes I'll ask, hey, what can I do to help you guys out? What can I do to help out the order or the temple or, the cabal or whatever? And they're like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. It's like, okay. And, I'll ask the spirits the same question. What can I do for you in return for everything that you're doing for me? And it's amazing to see it's the exact same thing. It's like, just keep it up, just keep doing what you're doing. Practice. Dedication, commitment, self-motivation. You're the only one that can do this. So, like I said, and with that said, I'm going to get off here. I'll be around every so often to do a video. But for right now, I'm out. I want to thank everybody for jumping on here with me. Jeffrey, Leo, where's this other one? Knowing games, worth of art. And then Cody Alamond 3020. Welcome. I want to thank you guys for jumping on here with me this morning. I wasn't expecting the video to go 55 minutes plus, but it did. But anyways, I hope these tips help you, and I hope that you've been enlightened, educated. Just continue to push yourself. Stick with it. Tests and trials are going to make you better. All right? Have a good day.